This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Right, I'll put the article to this one in the description box for you guys to go have a read of it yourself, for those of you who haven't read it already. So Deontay Wilder was on a podcast with Richard Poxton, go on ITV, and called the Poxcast, I think they called it. Anyway, he was asked about why the fight between him and Anthony Joshua didn't happen last year. So we get straight into his statement and then we'll boil him like a bunny. Okay, so Deontay Wilder's response to why him and Anthony Joshua didn't fight last year. When they said they had no date for September, they said you get $15 million and we get the rest. Then if you beat me in a rematch, we get 50-50. It don't work like that. We accepted everything. They came out and said there's no date in September. That's when the Povetkin thing came about. They're like, oh, now there's a date in September for us. As soon as we agreed everything, that's when they came out with the Povetkin is the mandatory and all that bullcrap, man. It was a whole bunch of bull. They didn't want the fight. We ain't chasing them. They act like he's a global superstar around the world, but they came to realise he's not. He wasn't like that. But they stayed on their high horse. They didn't want to do it, so we went to the next person in Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder's statement. So, how do we dissect this one and throw him in the boiling pot? Well, it's very, very easy. And I know why Wilder does this, because he thinks that people don't actually follow it all. Okay, he relies on his fan base to spin the narratives, and in the hope that people listening to them don't do their own research. It's very, very obvious. So let's do the September thing, okay? Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Povetkin, that happened in September the 22nd at Wembley Stadium. And the reason that September at Wembley was not available is quite simple. Because Showtime boss, your boss Wilder, or one of several, in Stephen Espinosa said, we can't do pay-per-view in September, especially on that day, not September 22nd, because Canelo Triple G, the rematch on September the 15th is pay-per-view. We don't want to go side by side with pay-per-views. We wouldn't get as many pay-per-views, so we can't do that one. There's your answer right there, Wilder. It had nothing to do with Wembley not being available. It had everything to do with Stephen Espinosa saying we can't do it in September. Okay? And the only other date for a big venue was the last week of October or the first week in November at the Millennium Stadium, Principality Stadium if you like, in Cardiff, Wales, because that held 80,000 people. So what's the problem with that one? But you still want to go with the whole September thing. And don't act like you don't know. Because of course you know. We know that a lot of your... I don't really want to call them fans because they're not boxing fans. They're just trolls. We'll just believe that and say, oh, well, you know what? See, Joshua versus Povetkin, see that happen. They know the truth. They just don't want to tell you it. Stephen Espinosa of Showtime said, we are not doing this fight on pay-per-view in America in September because of Triple G and Canelo rematch. That's why we're not doing it. If it was just based on the fact that UK pay-per-view, September 22nd would have been absolutely fine. There's no issue with that one. But it's for the pay-per-view at Showtime. They didn't want to do it. So that's very simple. Which is why last week of October, first week of November, this was the broad date. So you had a choice of 2 weekends, really. Would it have made any difference? You really, really wanted Wembley, did you? You really, really wanted September, did you? You didn't fight Tyson Fury until December the 1st. So it doesn't really matter, did it? Fact is, you accepted 15 million after sitting on an offer for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then eventually you thought, so the WBA, as you knew, I knew, Finkel knew, everybody in the damn world knew that the WBA were putting pressure on Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua to either get this fight with you, Wilder, over the line, or you're going to be fighting Povetkin next. They gave you guys 3 months to work this one out. The WBA mandatory had been overdue for a long, long time. In fact, I think the last time they had a mandatory was it Vladimir Klitschko versus Bryant Jennings. I think that was actually the last time they actually had a mandatory. Anyway, so it makes no difference. But you thought, okay, so Povetkin and Joshua, the WBA would have already ordered that. These guys, we know they're talking because we've seen Eddie Hearn with Andrei Ryabinski, who is Alexander Povetkin's manager, promoter from World of Boxing. They've been having the meetings. They're already agreeing the terms. Just in case Your ass falls out of your pants again, as it usually does. So they had a deal in place. You thought it was signed. Yeah, I'll fight him. Why? Because you were hoping that Eddie Hearn and Joshua were going to go, well, sorry, too late now. We've already signed for Povetkin. And then you go, see, cowards. They don't want to fight me. They want to fight Povetkin. You can't use that one. Because they said, okay, you accept the 15 million. Okay, good. Well, we haven't signed with Povetkin yet. Let's send over a contract. It was about 5 days went past. They sent over the contract. You wanted to send it back with notes, even though you agreed to all the terms. But you really didn't want to sign for $15 million, which at the time was 8 times more money than you had made at any given time for any given fight. And it was for undisputed. And you said it wasn't about money. You didn't care about money. You cared about legacy. You just want that fight for your fans. I love my fans. I promise my fans. That's what you said. You bottled it. You bottled it. All you had to do was put your name, Deontay Wilder, on the contract. The fight would have been on last week of October or first week in November. That's all it was. What difference does it make if it's at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales, or Wembley? What difference did it make? It made no difference. It made no difference to your pocket. It made no difference if he's in Anthony Joshua's back garden. You're still getting $15 million. Who cares? Fact is, you thought that he'd already signed with Povetkin, and you knew that there's a fan base out there who will believe everything that you say. You knew that. But really, you didn't want the fight. What difference does it make what arena it's at or what stadium it's at? You didn't want to travel to the UK. You are frightened to come to the UK, and more recent developments have proven that. You refused a rematch with Tyson Fury, saying, I'm not coming to the UK, which is one of the reasons why Tyson Fury pulled out. For me, he should have took it to purse bid, but anyway, you didn't want to come to the UK. You don't want to fight in the UK. Everything that you have accused Joshua of, you are it. You refuse to travel. You're not a travelling champion. You've yet to defend your title outside of America. So there's that one. So September was Stephen Espinosa's fault. 15 million, just because you say, yeah, I accept it, doesn't mean you accept it if you don't sign the contract. You make excuse after excuse after excuse. If $120 million cannot tempt you in the ring with Joshua, nothing can. It is about the money. Stop telling us it's not about the money. It is about the money. It's all about the money. You are not an A side. You are not a B side. You are at best a C side when it comes to the likes of Joshua, Tyson Fury, Dillian White. You are not even a B side. You've got one title, haven't won a meaningful fight in 41 fights. Your last fight, you lost. We all know that you lost it. And the judges screwed Tyson Fury out of that decision. You know it, and the world knows it. Your stock has fell through the floor. Yet they're still offering you $120 million to fight your manager next anyway in Dominic Breazeale, plus back-to-back fights with Anthony Joshua for $40 million each. One in the States, one in the UK. But you don't want to do it because you're frightened. Shay Finkel's frightened. Al Heyman's frightened. JD's is frightened. Your fan base are frightened. You're frightened of Joshua. Listen, all you got to do is land one of your big right hands on Joshua's chin and he could go to sleep. It could happen. Is a guaranteed $80 million for 2 fights not enough? Why is it not enough? You're a liar, Wilder. Stop making excuses. But I know, in fact, I kind of wonder, is he trolling us sometimes? Is he doing this just to spark a reaction? Because he knows his fanatical fans, the brain-dead zombie ones, will defend him no matter what. He probably says this kind of thing and just sits back and says, right, okay, let's see how they're going to dig me out of this one. And he's probably laughing at his fans because of the length that they would go to. Hey, look at these chumps. Man, these guys are so desperate to be my wife. Look at them. Pathetic, the lot of them. That's probably what he's saying about his own fans. Because he knows everything that he says, you will defend. I'm sporting icons, he's doing a thumbs down, thumbs down. This man is a liar. He's a liar. September was so important. Why was September so important? You didn't fight Fury until December the 1st. And Tyson Fury even said himself, he talked you out of that 15 million. He talked you out of it. You are easily swayed. Shay Finkel talked you out of 120 million. You ain't no leader. You're a follower. You are owned by these people. You will jump to the tune that anyone tells you to jump to. You are not your own man. Don't talk to us about 15 million at September. The whole thing is crap. And you know it's crap, Wilder. You know it is. And people are realising this. When you turn down $120 million to fight Deontay Breazeale, who you have to fight anyway, oh, it's all about loyalty. Oh, shut up. 120 million, no such thing as loyalty. No such thing. I will punch my granny in the face for 120 million. And I would smile and potentially even laugh while I'm doing it. For $120 million. You're a fraud. You are the worst champion in the history of the heavyweight division. You are the worst. You're frightened. You're scared of your own damn shadow. And you let this little man, this little Finkel guy, who looks like he should be getting beamed up by a UFO at any time, control you. You and your fans are weak. Anybody who supports you, great. But at least be logical about it. And say, yeah, Wilder's wrong on this one. If you can say that, big up to you. You are truly a fan of boxing. You are truly a fan of Wilder. But those who will defend him like a wife each and every time, absolutely pathetic. September is the excuse. 15 million, so I accepted. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, really. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. You drop me yours. Click the thumbs up to this video. And, of course, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.